brand new episode of the Code Drop. So last week we discussed how to use different color formats, and this week we'll see how to change borders and dimensions of elements using CSS. Now first of all we're going to see dimensions. So what basically are dimensions in an HTML page? So as you know that an HTML page is basically just a 2D surface. So what are the dimensions in a 2D surface? There's height and then there's width. These are the two basic dimensions of any 2D surface, and HTML elements are no exceptions. So let's open Visual Studio Code. Now you can see that I've already made this paragraph which says hi, we're going to see the different dimensions in a web page, and this is it. Now we want to change the height and width of the paragraph, and we know that these two components make a 2D surface. So we're just gonna call our paragraphs class 2D. You might notice that I have written 2D instead of typing a number 2 and then a D. It's because you can't start your class names with a number, so it's a thing you might want to keep in your mind when making classes. And now we'll add style for our 2D class. Here's our class selector 2D, and we'll add a height here of 40 pixels and a width of 200 pixels. So this is what the element originally looks like without any styles applied. We haven't changed any dimensions, and it looks like it's just a single line of that sentence. And now we're going to hit save, and now you can see that our paragraph is basically warped around in a container of size 200 pixels wide by 40 pixels height. We'll just add a background here, and we'll say background of gold, and when we hit save you can see that some text is overflowing. What that means is that our paragraph has less height than the content which needs to be. So what we're going to do is we'll just increase the height. Now we make it 60, and you can see that our height is more than enough to contain all the elements, all the characters of our paragraph in that space. So this is how you add height and width to a web page, to your paragraph, or any HTML element for that case, maybe image, maybe divisions, maybe actually links also. So you can do that to all of them. Now you saw that thing where 40 pixels is not big enough for our screen, so it overflowed, right? So there's a fix for that, and that fix is called min and max attributes. So what these min and max attributes are, they basically extension of our height and width, and totally they make 4 properties, which are min height, max height, min width, and max width. So what they do, they basically give an upper limit and a lower limit to what your dimensions of the page can be. So basically it's like, if we just see with an example. So let's make one more paragraph, and we'll call it 2D max min. And we'll copy this selector, paste it here, and we'll add 2D max min. Now our target is to show that what min and max attributes do. So we'll add a minimum height of min dash height of 40 pixels, what was our original in that fixed height and width, and then minimum width of 150 pixels. And now we'll add a max height of 60 pixels or maybe 80 pixels, and a max width of 250 pixels. That should be enough. And when we hit save, you can see that this paragraph is somewhat different from the paragraph above. It has all the characters in the container itself. It does not overflow from anywhere, and that's what min height and max height, that does, it basically applies an upper limit and a lower limit to your HTML elements dimensions. So minimum height, what it does is it actually puts the limit that height of your element or your paragraph in this case cannot be lower than 40 pixels, and similarly maximum height puts the limit that it cannot be higher than 80 pixels, and it's like that. And to see it in action, we're just going to add some text here, some random text. So actually we're just going to copy this text only and we'll paste it once again. So when we do that, we can see that in both the paragraph the output is going to be quite different. So in the first paragraph we have that overflow situation which is happening because of our height and width both being fixed. So we have our text overflowing from a paragraph, but in the lower one we have minimum height set and there's this upper limit and lower limit in the height and width, so it does not overflow. The dimensions of your paragraph increase depending on the contents of your paragraph. Now that was all about the dimensions, the basic 2D dimensions in our web page or using CSS. And now I want to work on a important property of our pages, and it's called borders. So basically when you create an HTML element, you want in border around it, and we use border property to add the borders. So we'll copy this paragraph again and we'll just add a border around this paragraph. So we'll copy it from here and we'll paste it here, and we want a border, so we'll add one more class and we'll call it BRDR for border. So we'll make our class selector BRDR and we'll add our border property. So there are three main attributes that you want to include in our border property for it to work. The first one is going to be the width, so we'll add a width of 5 pixels. The second is going to be style. So style is basically what kind of border you want. Do you want a solid border? Do you want a dash border? Do you want a double dash border? And so forth, so on. I'll actually put a link of these different styles in the description. And then we have at last the color. So it's not actually important, but if you put a color, it's always going to be awesome. So we'll add a red border here, and when we hit save, you can see that we have this paragraph which has a border of some width, and that width is 5 pixels and it's a solid border. We can increase this width, you can see the changes happening, and this is how it works. And we can also see a dash border here. Sorry, so yeah, it's a dash border here, and this is how you add border to a paragraph. So you can see that I actually instead of going to add a border in the same class, I made a different class and wrote it as a space separated value. So this is the method you use to add multiple classes to your division, to your element, to your paragraph. So if you want to inherit multiple styles in a single element, you give space separated class values. That's it. So if I copy it from here and I put it in the first paragraph, we have that border in the first paragraph also, and still our text is overflowing due to the obvious reasons. I will hit save, and this is the final result you're going to get. And we can actually we'll just make it solid again and we'll save it. So there's one more property in this dimensions thing and the borders thing, and that is the curvature of your element. So curvature of element is basically how much rounded your element is, and that roundness we can set using the property called border radius. So in our border class we'll add a property called border radius, and this radius can be pixels, it can be percentage, it can be em, it can be rem, it can basically be any of the measurement units which we can use in CSS. So here we'll add a border radius of 20 pixels, and when we hit save, you can see that we've got rounded borders around of our paragraph. So if we remove this border from here, you can see that the roundness of the paragraph still is there. because using border radius we basically make our containers round, not the borders. So we'll put our border back, and there's one more property in the border only, and it's like if you only want border in one direction. So if you want border, let's say, only on the left of the paragraph, so we'll just add a dash and we'll add left, and then hit save. You have a border on only the left side of the element, and you can do this for all the sides. It can be right, it can be top, it can be bottom, and it can be none. So when we keep none, it goes all around of the element. So that's how we set dimensions and add borders to our HTML elements using CSS. And that's it for today, guys. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and subscribe to the channel if you loved it. I'll see you on the next episode of the Code Drop. Bye for now.